Hi, my name is Lucas and I'm going to show you how to edit in Adobe Premiere Pro. We're going to be covering importing media, tools, transitions, and much more. You're probably watching this video because you've either opened Premiere Pro for the first time and have no idea what you're doing, you might have opened it before and want to learn something new, or you haven't opened it in a while and need a refresher. Whatever the case, this is a guide on how to edit using Premiere Pro from the ground up. So first, we'll go ahead and open Premiere Pro itself. You'll get this loading screen first, and then you'll be greeted with this. Right here is where your saved projects will appear. Of course, I have some of my own already. To make a new project, click the blue button at the top left corner that says New Project. This window will then open up. Right here is where your project will be saved. If the location doesn't seem right, go ahead and click Browse next to the box and select where you want your project to save. Once you have your location selected, you can name your project. If you don't feel this is right, you can always change the name later. Once that's all done, go ahead and click OK at the bottom right. Then this screen will pop up, and that's how you make a new project and a place to save it. Now I'm going to show you how to make a sequence. A sequence is where your project will actually be made. To do this, go up to File at the top, hover over New, and click Sequence near the top. Right here to the left is your resolution and frame rate. This all depends on what your footage was recorded on. It will always readjust and ask you beforehand if needed, but I always recommend getting the highest quality you can. Once you have your resolution and frame rate selected, come down to the bottom and name your sequence. It can be the same name as your project or a whole new name. However, this is not the name on what the project will be exported as. It can be whatever you want. Once you make a new sequence, the timeline will show up and you can begin editing. Now for importing media. What I like to do is I have my media ready in a folder on my desktop. This folder has pictures and videos from a previous project of mine. So what I will do now is click and hold the folder and move it from my desktop to this box right here. This is where all sequences and media are held. Once you have your folders or files here, it will take a minute to import everything. Once it's finished, you view your media right there. If it's in a folder, keep double clicking until you find everything. To get media onto your timeline, click and hold whichever photo or video you want and drag it into the neighboring box, which is the timeline. If you've dragged a video, this box above will be the video itself and the box below will be the audio for the video. You can add however many clips you want into the timeline, and you can also move them up and down if you want to put something above or below the clip. Something that can be useful is disabling or enabling a clip. To do this, left click on the media in the timeline and make sure it's selected, indicated by the white border. Then, right-click the clip and go near the middle to hit Enable. What this will do is hide the clip from the preview, but it will appear in the timeline. You can tell if something is enabled or disabled by the clip being darkened or not. By hitting Enable for the first time, you've disabled the clip. To re-enable it, do the same thing and the clip will reappear. Something else you can do in the right-click menu is separating audio from video. To do this, left-click a video clip that has audio with it and make sure it's selected with the white border. Right-click it and then select Unlink right below Enable. This will separate the audio from video and you can now move each of them individually. To re-link them, get them in line again or however you want. Select the clip, right-click, and select Link where it initially said Unlink. Your clips will now be back together. While unlinking or disabling a clip, you may have seen a group option in the right-click menu as well. To do this, grab 2 or more clips and then right-click on any of the media pieces that are selected and select Group. You can now move all of the clips together as if they were one. To ungroup them, select any of the clips that are grouped, right-click, and then select Ungroup. All the clips are now separated and you can individually move them freely again. One last thing you may have seen in the right-click menu is Nest. What this does is it turns multiple clips into one long individual clip. To do this, select whichever clips you want to combine by clicking or dragging over them, right-clicking, and selecting Nest. It will ask you to name the clip, and once you have, the clips will merge into one long clip and turn it green, indicating a nested clip. You can now move it freely as if it was just one piece of media. If you want to view what is inside the nested clip, double-click on the clip in the timeline and you will see what it has. Once you're done, you can go back to your previous sequence by clicking up here and selecting your sequence name, and you can see all of your open sequences here. You can either close the sequence by clicking the X here on the left, or you can leave it open and click the name of the other sequence. Now for the tools. The first one, the selection tool, is a tool you'll use the most. It allows you to select anything within the timeline and individually move each clip around. Now the track select forward tool. This one lets you grab one clip and move it around along with anything in front of it. Although it moves clips in front of the one selected, it does not move clips behind it. The ripple edit tool will allow you to shorten a clip and move everything to the beginning of the project with no gap before then. Unlike the ripple edit tool, the the selection tool does not do this and will create gaps in the project if you do not use the ripple edit tool. The razor tool is the one you'll likely use the second most. It allows you to go into any part of the clip and make a cut. You do so by hovering your mouse over where you want to clip and then left click. You can then move any clip you've cut freely. Now for the slip tool. How it works is that in a cut segment, it allows you to move throughout the clip without extending it and selecting a different part of the clip. The pen tool and the rectangle tool do very similar things and allow you to make shapes onto your video. The pen tool is more random and works like the one in Adobe Illustrator, and the rectangle tool exclusively makes rectangles and squares, of course. By creating a shape, it will add a new piece of media to your timeline automatically and not overwrite it on your clips. It automatically makes that clip really small and I can't see it well, so to see it better, I use this bar at the bottom with 2 circles on each end. I move the one on the right to zoom in. This will center your timeline to the playhead and zoom you in or out. This bar will also let you move left and right through your timeline, and if you're using an Apple Magic Mouse, you can use the left or right scroll as well. The hand tool is very similar to what I just explained. It allows you to move left and right throughout your timeline by clicking and dragging on the timeline itself. The text tool allows you to add text to your video, of course. To actually add text, have the tool selected and click anywhere on the preview and it will create a text box. You can then type whatever you want in it. It will also automatically make a new piece of media in your timeline, just like the pen and rectangle tool. If you still have the text tool selected and try to move the text around, it will add new text. You likely won't want that, so to move the text around in the preview, make sure you have the selection tool selected. You can then move the text wherever you want. Now, if you want your text to be in a more specific spot, head to this top menu and select Captions and Graphics. This will give you the text menu where you can change font, position, and color. It may open you up on the Browse section at first, which has a lot of templates you can use, but for now, we're going to focus on editing the text we've already made for now. Yeah, it's going to autosave at times, which is very helpful, but just in case, be sure to save your progress often by pressing Command+S. Right here is the Align and Transform section. By clicking the box on the left with the line going left to right, you can align your text vertically. By clicking the box with the line going up and down, you can align your text horizontally. These 3 bars going right allow you to center your text to the top, middle, or bottom of the preview. The 3 more bars to the right side do the same thing, but center the text to the left, middle, or right side of the preview. If you want a very, very specific placement on the text, you can move the sliders right here to move your text either way. You can also type in a new number by clicking the one that's already there. Right below those 2 is the scale of the text or the size. By moving it left or right, you can increase or decrease the size of your text. Right below the scale is the slider for the opacity of the text. Moving it left will make it less opaque, and moving it right will make it more opaque. Jumping down here, you have font options. There are plenty to choose from, including ones you've downloaded before. The slider below the fonts is exactly the same as scale, but it really is the font size. Moving it left or right will increase or decrease the size of the text. Now here's an aligner, and you can now choose how you want your text to appear, whether it's in the center, leftmost, or rightmost side. And right here you have multiple options for text formats, like bold, italics, all capitals, all small capitals, making the text a superscript or a subscript, or underlining it. Finally, for text, you have color options. You can decide the color of the text itself by clicking the white box. You'll then be greeted with a specific color selector. Once you have your color selected, with the preview in sight, click OK and it will be applied. The same works for a stroke, and to enable anything that isn't enabled, click this checkbox next to the option. It will appear much clearer and give you the option to edit it. This number on the left will allow you to decide the thickness of the stroke. This background option allows you to, add a background, similar to highlighting something in Google Docs. The other option that comes up are opacity, thickness, and the curvature of the corners. The last option is adding a shadow. The options you're given are opacity, rotation of the shadow, like where the shadow comes from, how far the shadow is away from the text, the thickness of the shadow, and the feathering of the shadow. Now for speed and duration. To access it, right-click whichever clip you want to speed up or slow down and select, of course, speed and duration. This window will then pop up. You can speed up the clip by increasing the number or slow it down by decreasing the number. To apply any changes you make, click OK. In the same menu, you can reverse the clip by clicking Reverse Speed. Be careful when you slow down a clip, however, because if it's too close to another clip, it can easily overlap it like this. To undo it, you can press Command Z as usual, but I recommend adjusting speed in another part of the project and not so close to another clip. Something else you may have noticed while editing are these yellow lines at the top of the timeline. If they are yellow or red, that means the project will need to be rendered to run faster. To render something, go to the top of the menu, click Sequence, and then Render Into Out. This will render your whole project. It may take some time depending on how much you have not rendered, so try to render as frequently as you can. If you only wanted to render a certain portion of the video, you can always hit cancel, and whatever it rendered so far will stay rendered. When something is rendered, the yellow or red line will turn green. Now for effects and transitions. To access these, select Effects at the top of the preview. This window to the right will appear and you have a wide selection of audio and video effects and transitions. To apply one of these effects or transitions to your media, click and drag whichever one you want onto the media on the timeline. And now for audio gain. Audio gain will increase or decrease the volume of your audio. To access it, right-click an audio clip and go to Audio Gain, which is under Speed and Duration. You can now decrease or increase audio level by typing in whichever number you want. If you want to add gain, just type in a number and troubleshoot. If you want to remove gain, type in the same number but a negative in front. If you want to zoom into your preview, click where it says Fit under the preview itself. You'll be presented with various percentages. The smaller the percentage, the more zoomed out. The bigger the percentage, the more zoomed in. If you're so zoomed in that you can't see the whole clip, you can move around the preview by using these scroll bars or using the scroll on a magic mouse. When you zoom into the preview, the clip itself will not be affected at all. In contrast, how to change the scale of a clip is simple. Double-click the clip on the preview and you can increase or decrease the size or scale it up and down. But if you have a lot going on in one clip, you can select it in the timeline and the same menu will appear to the left. You can scale the clip in the preview, but you can also do it in the side menu. In this side menu, you can also change position, rotation, and opacity. And now finally, when your video is done, this is how you export your project. Go to File at the top, then hit Export near the bottom, and then click Media. You will then get this menu where you can change the exporting format, the most common being H.264, where the video is going to be going, what you want the video to be called, and whether you want to export video and or audio only. To change the name and location, click the blue name near the top. You will again be presented with this menu where you can rename and choose where the video will go. Once you are happy with your settings, hit Export at the bottom and it will start right away. If you haven't rendered your project, it will do so during the export process. The longer your project, the longer the export process takes. Once your project is finished exporting, you'll find this blue window saying that your export has finished, and you should be able to find it wherever you told it to go. And that is how you edit in Adobe Premiere Pro. If you don't feel like you're an expert just yet, that's completely okay. It's definitely going to take some time. But as of now, I hope this video has built a path for you to advance in your video editing skills. Bye for now.